gonna put some cooling on this thing and fix the throttle so that we can do a proper test drive. And also, we are giving away this beautiful machine right here. Every dollar you spend on grindhardplumbingco.com gets you an entry to win. And new for this week, we have the Grind Hard Goose shirt. It's a really nice shirt and a premium way to potentially win this side-by-side and also have more goose in your life. I should have seen that coming. Hopefully there weren't any goose droppings in that one. You gonna drive it? Sure.
They're coming along to watch too.
These are coming, yeah.
Well, I think you got some of my crazy.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Look out, gooses! I'm getting ready to hook up the radiator and do the cooling. As part of that, I'm trying to simplify. So this has 3 ports on it because one of them went to the EGR cooler, one of them went to the heater, which we're obviously not gonna have. We also don't have an EGR cooler. Problem is there's too many ports on it, and I could just cap them off, but that's kind of, you know, ugly and dumb. Right? And then this one here houses the thermostat, which is even more overly complicated. I only really need pretty much just these two. One of those will go to the oil and transmission coolers, and then the other one will just go to the radiator.
You really got the whole farm in here today, Ethan.
I know. Grind Hard Farming Co. I've been pondering this and how to best go about making that part to adapt to the new stuff. The thing is, it still has the hose pointing entirely the wrong direction if I do that. I could 3D print it out of plastic and test it and then get one 3D printed out of metal. But on this side, I don't think that makes the most sense because of my plan to use AN fittings. I got this big old block of aluminum here, and between the mill and the lathe, I can just make that part, and instead of coming out at a weird angle like that, it'll just come straight out. Decided the easiest way is going to be to start on the lathe, and then probably just use the mill basically for drilling the holes. Is that satisfying or what?
I love watching these transform.
Look at that nice taper too. It tapers in from an inch out to whatever this is. That's a little bit more conducive to flow than this. See how that's just a big flat thing with a square hole in it? Better flow. That fitting there is what I'm going to use for the outlet for the oil coolers. I just need to make a hole in the side of this block here, and if I drill that hole right now while this block is square, it will be considerably easier. Obviously I don't need any part of it this thick. The only reason I needed a piece this large is for the flange that bolts onto it, or that bolts into the engine rather. So now I need to figure out where the bolts are gonna go. for the circle where the holes are gonna go. I was hoping to use the dividing head on the mill and clamp it in there, but the mill's not tall enough, so I'm gonna have to mark them on here and then clamp them in the regular clamp or the regular vise on the mill, and then drill them. That is the radius of my bolts. Now that I got those holes drilled, I can take all of the excess material off of this right back to this flange on the lathe here. All I have to leave is just a little bit of a flat spot there, so I can't take it fully down to its final diameter because I need that little flat spot. Look at how weird this looks right now with like this section flat, this section round, and then those holes halfway milled away.
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Getting closer. Well, I need to do a few things. Primarily, I need to take off most of this. Basically, I just need to put it in the mill and go zoop, 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 like that.
Just so it can fit.
Yeah, so that it actually fits in there.
You don't need a 3D printer.
Nope. Or a 5-axis CNC mill. Just a whole day and a manual mill and lathe. Check it out. So I did a straight line across here to get from the point of the hole to the minimum distance away from the edge there. And now the cool thing is these points here, I can just use this and make them round, but in a way that would be impossible on a lathe, because if you're trying to do this on a lathe, you'd also be taking this point off. Pretty spiffy. See, and I haven't changed this axis, which means that I can get it exactly the same on both sides. Now, I think we can finally find out if this is actually gonna fit on the engine. You know, many hours of machining later. Look at that. Like a glove.
Looks pretty spiffy.
Yeah. So now what I need to do is something similar to what I just did here on this section, because right now you wouldn't be able to get a bolt in there. And also I don't need all this extra material here. Back to
the mill we go.
Just carrying it around. I wonder if we can teach the geese to play fetch. Like if I threw that pine cone, would it go get it? Don't worry, you're still my favorite silly goose. Yeah, you're the best silly goose that's ever been. These silly geese, they're just silly geese, but you're a real silly goose. Flavored air is quickly becoming the leading alternative to smoking and vaping. And at the forefront of it all is fume. This thing is not a vape. It has zero nicotine. It has zero chemicals. It's just naturally flavored air. It's great for oral fixation and fidgeting, and there are so many flavors to choose from. You'll definitely be able to find one you like. It makes nice clicky noises. It even has this little magnetic base. You can sit there and spin around. And for a limited time, if you order the Journey Pack using code GRINDHARD, you'll get a free fume topper, which is a great little accessory to make your experience just that much better. So click the link or scan the QR code to get yours today. But right now, I gotta get back to working on the trike so we can do some driving. I've had a new idea. Rather than trying to make it round, I'm gonna make it into a hexagon. And if I don't like it, well, I can make it round after that. I've made a lot of interesting parts over the years on the mill and the lathe, but this is, I think, the most complex machine part I've made yet. Really like how the hexagon thing came out, so I'm gonna put a slightly smaller bit on here. How's it going, gooses? They're like, we want to be very close to you, but do not touch us. This is not okay.
Well, how's it coming along?
Good. I just keep, taking more and more off and changing things and trying to make it look prettier. I have two little flat spots here, and then it's round from there on. But it's kind of weird and groovy because of the way I did it, and not groovy in a good sense. I turned it upright, and I'm going to see if I can run it around that way and kind of polish it up a little bit. This is a fun learning experience, though. Wow, look at that.
It looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, not bad. Considering it started out as a big old square this morning, it's looking pretty fresh. And behold, we have a fitting. Obviously, I could have used an AN line for this, but because the other end of it is just a regular hose barb, so I figured for like a foot-long hose, it'd be really silly to use an AN fitting to AN hose and then just go to here, because AN line looks kind of funky when you put it on there. Just went with the hose barb. I could easily swap it out later, because this is, pretty standard. Chris, the geese are happy to see you, apparently.
I see that. You're doing pretty good on that lathe.
Yeah, lathe and mill, obviously, due to the not always round nature of it. Man, that looks so much better.
Yes, it does.
I decided I'm gonna model this on the computer, or the important parts of it anyway, and then 3D print a prototype, see if it works and how long it lasts, and if it works decently well, but doesn't last very long, then we'll get one 3D printed or CNC machined out of aluminum based on my model. But yeah, it'll be fun little experiment.
You think these geese can damage wires?
Not really, no. Although my neighbor Carla was telling me this weekend, she was telling me that she had an old, I think she said a 53 Chevy Bel Air. She said her geese ate the tail lights out of it. Because it had been sitting in a field for many years, like, it hasn't been driven in decades, but, like, the plastic of the tail light, like, deteriorated in the sun, and the geese came and just ate the tail lights.
I think that might be happening to our mini Jeep.
They're trying, but those taillights are not, sun crisp. That should be pretty much it. I went for nice and simple, so this is the top, roughly, when it's on the engine, like so. And that's where the temp sensor is going to go. Modeled it exactly after that, so should just fit in there just like that. And then there's a little clippy thing that holds it in. And then this end is for the outlet to, or inlet, whichever way it goes, to the radiator. We got clearance for our bolt holes. We got all sorts of goodies. So we're going to use the same OEM gasket there. Make sure everything's correct. I'll hit print, and hopefully in the morning we'll be able to see if it fits. Look at that. I mean, it certainly didn't fail. That looks nice. There's a few tiny little chumbly bits in the threads there, but overall, that printed super clean. Look at that. You know, at a glance, you wouldn't even be able to tell that's 3D printed. I did print it at like a really high quality setting. Like really, really thin layers because I want it to be as strong as possible. Well, I may be an idiot. Temp sensor should have been on this face, not right there.
Oh.
It would have worked. So I just moved that coolant temp sensor port from here to there, which is going to be a lot better location in many ways. Since I was 3D printing all this other stuff, I came up with a plan for the throttle to delete all of this ugliness here. So all I actually need is this circuit board and this little piece here, which is just a little piece of metal and slots in there. That's the entirety of the throttle right there. That's it. That's actually...
It's actually kind of simple.
Right. And it has these springs in there for, you know, some pedal feel. Woo!
Oh.
What I'm thinking is I'll cut this end off here somewhere, and then I'll just design and 3D print a new version of this bit here, minus all the pedal stuff, with a little hole in the end for a cable. We were just talking about the new Chang Li for Edwin's 100-mile challenge, and talking with Chris about Edwin's range issues, and Chris offered to take it for a range test up the road. It's been charging all night, so it's as charged as it's gonna get.
Oh, it looks like I'm gonna fit my computer.
Just about. That thing only draws 300 watts.
Really?
Yeah. That's why Edwin's so screwed with his range.
Well, call us if you run out of battery.
Okay. Doesn't turn very sharp, does it?
Not particularly.
Okay, I'll be back.
Good luck. If Chris can't even make it the 1.5 miles up to where he's going and back, that's a bad sign for Edwin.
It's a lot of uphill, but it's not even that steep compared to where Edwin's planning on going. So, yeah. It's gonna be hilarious. Just got my CAD goose here. I'm thinking maybe we should name this one Steve. Do you think this one looks like a Steve?
I would know, and yeah. Yep, that's a Steve.
This is also one of the only ones that's really easy to identify.
Apparently it's very chill, too.
It is. This is also the most chill one. It's been handled the most, and it's always been a little more chill than the other ones for some reason. It still doesn't like being caught. You really have to sneak up on them to catch them. But once you do, this one will just chill. Just hang out here. Hang out while I do some CAD. Check it out. So now it's a two-piece thing that will clamp this inside of it. You can see all the bolt holes line up. That's basically just a mirror of this with enough room for this box here. Hey, I made a turtle. Look at that.
It does look a lot like a turtle. Well, that's kind of lame.
What?
It doesn't give you the satisfaction of seeing it go to 100.
Ha!
It just says 99 and then it's done.
That's funny. Let's see how she turned out. Ooh. Even better than the first one.
Oh, my perfect timing for you to start that next one. You're almost done with it, huh?
Yeah, I'm just about there. 5 hours and 45 minutes. That's not bad for printing both parts. Also, look at that. Like it was made for it. Wait. It was. The moment of truth are my 3D printed threads. I can just kind of sand down the edges of these threads a little bit. Why is that so satisfying?
But coming back down the other side,
Yeah.
it charges really good.
It does regen, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the battery percentage at now? Whoa, 64 volts?
Yeah, because I came down the hill all the way down.
Yeah, but
the
still,
hill.
I mean, you went up the hill too, so. Well, Edwin's not nearly as screwed as we thought he was. Nice thing is, with those little metal sleeves in there, I don't have to worry about tightening the bolts too much and cracking the plastic. And I put it just straight out because I have 90s and such on the way for the AN16 line, so I can put the 90 on there and I can swivel it any way I want. Well, the electronic end of the throttle parts are printing. I can make the mechanical end of the throttle parts, in other words, the pedal assembly. I'm going to start with the bearing housing to hold the... I'm going to make it look almost exactly like the brake pedal here, except it won't need all of this nonsense. It'll just be the pedal that'll pull directly on a cable. I eyeballed the depth of that perfectly.
Beautiful.
Bada boom. Look at that. Mint. Man, the future is really now. I got 2 robots doing all the work for me right now. This thing's cutting out pieces of metal. 3D printers over there printing plastic parts for the throttle stuff. You know, if you told me when I was like 10, you're like, yeah, when you're older, you'll be using robots to do all the work. I'd been like, psh, sci-fi. Actually, no, I probably would have believed it. I would have been like, yeah, that's really cool. I believe it. But you know what I mean. If you told somebody who was an adult 30 years ago that you'd be able to just print parts out of plastic and use robots to do all the work, they would have been like, oh, I don't know about that, man. We got ourselves some Christmas in August here. Harbor Freight shipment. This thing, I mean, I don't have a use for it right at the moment, but it's their like professional level code scanner thing.
Oh, that's
so we can get into like way deeper into the electronics of vehicles, which actually could be handy for this. Yeah, all sorts of exciting goodies here. Check it out. These are the parts I was printing yesterday. Realistically, I only need this part.
Right.
But I decided to just make it 2-piece so that it holds it all in there and clamps it down. It's super unnecessary, but this bolt can stay in there all the time, and then these, any number of these 3 can bolt it to whatever surface and also clamp it together. Remember, the cable goes in right there. Tell me what kind of plastic this is, Chris. Smell it. Tell me what it is.
It's PET.
No. It's ABS. You should know the smell of that.
ABS?
Yeah. Yep. This is glass fiber reinforced ABS.
Oh yeah, you can smell it now.
Yep. Whoops.
You just crack it?
No, the drill just went, well, I mean, I guess the answer is kind of yes. And it would be far better if I printed that groove rather than cutting it anyway. I think you'd be able to get it like to sort of balance a little bit, but no, it just wants to flop. And get it all the way compressed. And then, once it's all the way compressed, it can't wiggle around the same. So it'll actually stay compressed. I cut those zip ties, and the spring will do the spring thing it's supposed to.
Just don't let it fling out of there.
Well, in theory, it can't really right now. You know what I mean? Smells just like plumbing. I'll probably print another set with a few modifications.
A little bit more clearance? Or?
Yeah, just a little bit more clearance on the cover side. and a slot for the cable. For this one here, the top piece, I'm just making it a little bit wider because it was really like bowing out like this. Well, you can see it also cracked here. So I extruded this all the way up to the top because there's really no reason for it to be halfway. This one was too tight. And then this one, when I drilled it out, the drill went too far. Also, I decided to just change that and use this cable, which has a little bit more length. Actually, quite a bit more. So that, because this one, like, it's pulled fully tight right now. I can put this in the mill and mill a slot for it. And that way, once the heim joint's in there, the cable it can't accidentally come out. Oh yeah, look at that.
Looks good.
Man, that satisfying. That means I can cut out the exact same tab for this side that I did for here with the 3 holes, because it's the same heim joint. With plasma, no 2 holes are ever perfectly the same. So. Work dumber, take longer. I welded it on the wrong side. This is a
It's just a
replacement brake pedal. The question is, do I cut it off and weld it on the other way? Yeah, that would probably take less time.
versus cutting out and cleaning up 2 new parts.
Yeah. This pedal is ready to be welded to this, but I can't really do that until I cut the little piece of board plate out. I'll do that in a second, but first we've got to see how our print turned out. I think it's finished over here. Fresh off the press. Dang, this one printed nice. Look at that. Second time's the charm. Let's see, does that fit better? Ooh, like a glove.
Oh, that's nice.
Not too tight, not too loose. Just right. Okay, see, that's a million times easier. Why didn't I just think of that in the first place? Remember how much I struggled with that?
Yeah, putting that spring in took like 7 minutes.
Work smarter, not harder. Or, in my case today, work dumber, take longer. I can't believe I spent that much time trying to do this.
Well, what do you think, Chris? Are you gonna start 3D printing parts?
Yeah.
I wonder if we could 3D print some socks for Edwin.
Yes, technically you probably could. There's a material called TPU that's really bendy.
Yeah.
So if you printed like just a couple layers thick of TPU, you could probably, because you can print Crocs, you know those yellow things he wears?
Right.
People 3D print those all the time out of TPU. All around, look at that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yum.
You didn't even really have to shave anything out,
Nope.
down, or anything.
I just had to knock off the supports. Oof, that is just so precision. We got some nice batteries for all the stuff. Cool. Most importantly though, this is the one we really need. This is hopefully for the trike. It's actually an ATV battery, but in theory it has enough cranking amps to start up this diesel engine. I'm hoping it has enough cranking amps. Obviously it's not what it's made for, but it should have enough. Go ahead. Yep. All right. That cranked it over plenty fast, yeah. Nice. I've made myself a little tiny bung that'll go the last piece of the throttle cable puzzle. So this is gonna go right there and then weld onto there. But first I have to cut a slot in it so that it can. But yeah, I'm just working on a little adjustable stop right there. There we go, little throttle stop. In the shape of a hexagon. Just makes it so that the throttle can't bounce around this way. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of a spring for some extra jiggle protection.
Seems pretty nice.
It's
Ooh, that's nice.
Isn't it? With the extra spring on there and the stop, it just feels good.
We'll have to get Chris in here again too.
Yeah.
Now that he should be able to actually operate.
His size 15 boots didn't exactly fit my half-assed attempt at a throttle. So I played with a bunch of different ideas here, and I decided to mount it right there.
Nice and out of the way.
Yep, right up behind the orbital valve there. And that way it's up high, so it's less likely to get water on it, and the end that has the hole in it is pointed straight down, so any water that gets in there can drain out. Look at that.
Oh, I didn't realize you already bolted it on there.
Yeah. And then today.
Yeah, no kidding.
5,000 acres of forest fires within about 10 miles of here. One of them's like 3 miles, and the other one's probably 15 in a straight line. But yeah, lots of fires, as you can tell by the fact that the air is gray. I don't really recall my thought process when I made this billet piece and why I put the fitting in there, because this also has a fitting right there. Now I have an extra hole that I don't need. So I've looked at this, and the best course of action is going to be to use a little piece of bend here and put this kind of at an angle, something like that, but I don't want it quite so high up or far out. I'm going to cut this off pretty much flush there and then weld this to it, and then cut this one off back a little ways and weld it to that as well, and then it'll sit kind of, you know, more like that, which is perfect because then that can go straight to the radiator. I decided I don't need the little elbow. I just beveled these two pieces, and that's about the right angle. It'll be, you know, stronger, simpler, only one weld instead of two. Whoa. Looks like it was made that way from the factory. Not really, but. Did you go rob another muffin from the house, Chris? Two? Mm-hmm. When Kylie made those, she made those same ones a couple weeks ago. She made a double batch, and we ate them in like 2 days. I forget if she wasn't feeling good or what, but she didn't really make dinner. I just had 5 muffins for dinner. That was my whole dinner, was 5 or 6 huckleberry muffins. I skipped the elbow, I just beveled it and welded them straight to each other. And it was just unnecessary, plus it would have been 2 welds. Speaking of unnecessary, I spent all the time to tap and machine that and everything, and there's one right there. It's kind of a shame to put that in the one that I made, but it makes more sense. Now that I got that part sorted out, I just need to weld some of these bungs here onto this radiator. Then we'll be able to mount the radiator, hook it all up, and have cooling for this test drive. They were supervising the construction this morning, and you know the wall of dirt on the left side of the house there?
Yeah.
One of them fell down the... They were like eating grass on the edge, and then one just went like and slid to the bottom, and it was freaking out. So I went over there and I picked it up, and I just like tossed it up in the air, and it like flapped away over there and landed on the grass. I got the radiator all plumbed up, which is cool. First time using AN lines for coolant lines, which I really like the way that looks. I routed the lower coolant line around this side here, and that worked out quite nicely. Basically, we just need at least like some semblance of some radiator mounts, and then we can take it for another test drive. This is the tubing that I'm going to use to mount the radiator, and it is smaller than the smallest die I have, but it's a fairly thick wall piece of tube, so it should still bend okay. We're about to find out. Oh yeah, that went just fine.
Hey.
For the wrong size die. I found some little rubber grommet thingies that'll work for the little pins on the bottom of the radiator. And that's the reason I'm using this size of tube, is because it's one that I have. The inside diameter fits those rubber things. And then I think I'm gonna run a piece of tube something like that. Hardly even need a top radiator mount with this nice beefy AN line there.
There's no bailing out of this thing quick.
No. If it tips over, just hug yourself.
There's a lot of adjustability.
Is that like kind of vaguely close? Man, this thing fires up so quick. Boom. Edwin, did you see the tires do that thing there?
Perpetual motion.
It's just like wah, wah,
That's the
wah,
same thing
Yeah.
as the excavator.
Yeah, there must just be a little bit of play between like the tie rods and everything else. A further refinement is required on that rear steer situation. Basically, what it boils down to is we'll just have to use this as if it were a momentary switch instead of a detent switch. So push the button to get it back to center and then unpush it. Otherwise, it just turns into a perpetual motion machine.
What do you call this thing?
I mean, just the trike
That's right.
or the tractor. You know, because it's a tractor, tire, trike, tractor, tractor.
How about the Trichosaurus? Ready?
We're ready.
Ready?
The Trichosaurus lives.
It does.
Here we go.
So entertaining watching that thing move around.
It's actually so hard to film because you just want to be looking at it for real. Like,
Yeah.
it's only been run for like 5 minutes its entire life so far.
Yeah. And it's unlike anything else. Every other vehicle we've ever built has an analog somewhere that you can compare it to. This thing There's no analogous experience that I've ever been able to compare it to.
Yeah, I think the ultimate thing would be to drive it through the desert.
We should take it to KOH or Moab or something this winter.
Yeah.
Or Baja. I mean, Baja would be pretty sick. Handy having Chris around because he'll test drive something and be very like cautious and gentle with it, you know? He's had plenty of years of going hard on things and breaking them to take it easier, so I can have him drive it and like it won't be broken after 5 minutes, you know? I've seen a bunch of comments on the last test drive video from, remember we did that underneath GoPro angle?
Yeah.
That piece of metal that I bolted to the front output of the drive shaft to stop it from spinning so it'll actually move. Everybody thinks that was a part falling off.
Oh.
Making a lot of noise.
Yeah, I think it's the power steering pump slipping a little bit, but I'm not sure why, because it does it sometimes and not others. What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's pretty unique, huh?
Yeah, it takes a while to get, really used to it. You gotta be very coordinated. You know which way is going which,
Yeah.
It's the Triceratops Rex, that's for sure. And it's the weirdest feeling steering it because your mind is telling you you're going straight.
Yeah, no matter where.
Yeah, because you're inside the wheel. If you turn this way, you're going straight. You turn that way, you're going straight. But it turns really sharp when you want to turn around.
Yeah, when you use the front and rear steer combined,
Yeah.
it turns crazy sharp.
You want a hand?
All right, get it.
Good work.
You need a handle here.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
I'll
well,
be part of the cage.
I plan on making a little subframe here that has the mirrors mounted to it and then some headlights and stuff.
And you put a handle on
And
that.
it'll kind of just be a handle by nature because it'll be made out of tube and stuff. So it'll just be, somewhere you can grab here that isn't sharp angle. What? It's acting like it did when we didn't have the mass airflow hooked up. Oh, I forgot to put the air filter back on. Oh well.
You can see in the ridges, it's been sucking in the dust already.
Seems to have quite a bit of climbing power.
Yeah. Ethan's off to get the code scanner from the garage. That means we've gone from checking for physical problems to electronical problems, which are the worst kind of problems.
As we were running the trike without an air filter on it, we thought that the mass airflow sensor was probably just dirty. But after cleaning it up, it didn't really seem to change much. So we cleared the codes, and that seemed to do it for now.
That sounded kind of weird. I honestly couldn't tell you. Am I more excited to take this thing to Moab or to like a glamorous type rolling desert.
There's something going on with the throttle where when you push it all the way, it throws a code and then it doesn't like that.
Do you think it's just a coincidence it did it right on top of after going up a hill again?
Probably. It's only throwing the 3 codes that are always there, which is things that don't exist, that the computer thinks that should exist. The temperature sensor on the radiator, don't have that. Fuel pump, circuit A. It has that fuel pump, but the computer doesn't know it because I couldn't get it to turn it on when I was wiring it up, so I just had it wired to the switch. And the other code is for the transmission, which has always been there again, and it hasn't been a problem. So those are the only 3 codes that stay. For some reason, it's not happy.
Dead on the top of the hill with no parking brake. I'm gonna go grab a zip tie. I think that I shouldn't go anywhere on this property without a zip tie, ever.
I just unplugged the temperature sensor and I'm gonna see if that has any effect on it running. It might just be thinking the engine's too hot and shutting it down. So unplug that, see what happens. Figured it out. It was mad because the engine was hot. And it doesn't have 2 temperature sensors to reference, so I might actually need to put that in. My thought is that it doesn't have one on the radiator, so it doesn't know how hot that is. And it's not like over temp, but it might have some programming in the computer where if it gets to a certain temperature in the engine and it doesn't have a signal from the one on the radiator, it shuts it off. So I tried unplugging the temp sensor and away we go.
That is truly one of the best angles of this thing because you can see it being driven, you can see the top of the massive front tire, but you cannot at all see the driver. It looks like some kind of weird remote control car contraption.
So I'm getting more used to it and more comfortable with it, which means going a little faster. And when you go a little faster, as you may have noticed, it has some issues. When you go over bumps, you bounce around a little bit, as is usual. But the real problem is, when you accelerate, the engine goes like this, and leans up because of all this suspension here, and just the fact that this section here is so short. And then it just keeps doing that into a, like, as Chris likes to say, a perpetual motion machine. And then you just get uncontrollable bouncing because of that throttle input making it bounce up and down worse. This is actually quite a smooth ride. It's just that once it starts bucking, it's kind of like running a skid steer where the 2 sticks, like, you just start feedback looping your controls. There's some things, like I said, 1, I can make the throttle less sensitive. That'll help a lot. 2, I can just limit the travel to just a little bit of travel and make it stiffer so that it doesn't do that quite as bad.
Uh-oh.
That's why you don't do test drives without things properly welded.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad.
No.
This is why we need a truck with a welder on it. There's one more to add to the list, huh?
Yeah, I mean, this one was just a stupid thing. Like, I just didn't weld it enough because, you know, I haven't finished welding everything. It's not an inherent problem. This is more of a operator error. Not even operator error, just fabricator failure. Blame it on the welder. That guy's slacking.
Don't forget to check out the Razor giveaway on grindhardplumbingco.com, and thanks to Fume for sponsoring this video.